Sometimes dreaming is comfortable. Sometimes it's better to just think about the things we desire and ask and aspire for and just kind of rest and marinate in those ideals. Desire is a motivator, not a producer. I heard a pastor say that last week, and that really stood out to me, kind of struck a chord with me. And it got me thinking about how many of us sit around and dream about things. And there's something to be said for visualization exercises, seeing yourself doing something at a high level successfully, seeing yourself at a particular status in life or a place in life financially or professionally. There's nothing wrong with visualizing those things. The Bible says, have a vision, make it plain on tablets so that he may run who reads it. So vision is important. I think we talked about last week or the week before that without vision, the people perish, the Bible says. But there's more to it than just a vision, right? Faith without works is dead, right? So if we believe that, then we would also agree that dreaming is just comfortable, and if left there in the dreaming stage, because it's safe, it's comfortable, like I said, there is no risk, right? So if we stay there, then everything's okay in that little bubble. I'm guilty of it. I've done it for years. We could probably fill in the blanks of reasons why we sit in that dream phase. But I start thinking more and more, and I guess because I get older, I guess everybody does this. Everybody's in hindsight mode when they get to a certain age and they look back and, oh, I wish I would have just done this anyway. If I would have failed, so what? Now I can't be as risky, right? I got to be judicious and diligent in how I approach taking those calculated risks. But my advice to you, if you're younger than 30 or 40, I would say chase failure right now. Chase the things you're desiring and to hell with the consequences. So today I'm titling this Operation Get You Some. And I want to talk about how we can reach out and snatch those desires, those dreams, how we can really chase after them despite all the things that have kept us from doing that to this point. And like I say every week, look, if there was a mirror in front of me, I'd be talking into it. So I'm not coming at you. I'm coming alongside you, and we're going to chop this up together. So I always think about the guy. So if you ever watch professional football, which I do, and we're in the second week of the NFL football season of 2021, and I couldn't be more excited that football season's here. But when they pan over to the sidelines with the cameras and you see the guy in the hat and the clipboard with the pads and the uniform, he's a backup, right? Most likely he's a backup quarterback. And you hear who it is, or you see the name on the back of the jersey and you think, that guy's been a backup his whole career. He's been in the league for 10 years and he's just been a backup the whole time. Most people would say he accomplished his dream, right? He's in the NFL. He's on a roster. He's getting paid to stand and hold the clipboard and have a jersey. Way more than I can say for me, right? Maybe even you. I mean, nobody out there, I bet, has played professional sports. But so no disrespect to backup quarterbacks in the NFL. Trust me, they're still one of the top 50 quarterbacks in the country, let's just say. But Do you ever wonder if that guy just got comfortable being the backup? He got the jersey, and you ever wonder if he just got okay with it at some point? He's just like, this is probably as good as it's going to get. I would imagine that they're okay with it. I don't know what the league minimum is. A couple $100,000 a year. I mean, that's not a bad gig. So I wonder if that particular guy is okay with his dream ending there. And I ask you if you're okay with your dream ending where it is. Maybe you haven't even started to see a glimpse in the same galaxy as your dream yet. Why is that? You ever wonder why have I had these dreams and desires, aspirations, and then just chalk it up to bad pizza because I probably don't think it's ever going to work out? I mean, if you're me, you're raising your hand just like I am right now. So I can say that I relate to that. For a long time I did. Until recently, late 2020, when I wrote and self-published my first book that I have been wanting to write for probably 10 years, if I'm honest. It sounds better and it lets me off the hook a little if I just say 3 or 5. But gun to my head, probably, full disclosure, 10 years. To finally have done it, and I don't care how many books I've sold. I don't care any of that. Like, no book tour here in my recent future, near future, but I can say that I did that. Like, that was a dream of mine. And we don't just have one dream. What else is out there? And you're sitting right now, probably in your car, maybe on the treadmill, maybe on the couch. And you've got glimpses of those dreams kind of coming to your memory again as we sit here and talk. And I'm here to tell you that the sun has not set on you yet. If I can write a book at 47, 48, just turned 48, I guess, when I published it, I'm pretty sure the sun hasn't set on you either yet. But if we sit back and we're okay holding the clipboard, wearing the hat with the jersey, knowing that we're never really going to get there, but we're just kind of comfortable where we are. If we're that guy, we're selling the whole plan, the whole process, the whole journey. We're selling God short. And I believe we're boxing ourselves in, and I believe we're called and gifted for more than that. So as we get into this, kind of clear your brain palette, if you will, clear any apprehension you have based on any fear you felt in the past. And let's start with a blank canvas today about your dream, because this is Operation Get You Some. So get you some obviously is go get you some. Like, let's go get it. Take a bite out of life, or take a step in that dream direction again. Get back out on the blacktop. Get out of the weeds, off the beaten path. Get back on the road, and let's get you some. So today, I want to ask you, why do you think we don't know how to get there or what we want? Probably because sometimes we don't know what it is we want. It makes it hard to get there if we don't know where we're going or why or what we want. So you got to know what that is. You know what you're good at. You know what you've done for your whole life, and maybe you've done something for 20 years and you've hated every minute of it, and it really doesn't tap into your gifts, really doesn't tap into your skill set, but you've been doing it because guess what? You got comfortable, right? You outgrew the risk taker in you. So sometimes we don't know what we want, so we don't know how to get what we want. how do you get you some if you don't know what some is? I mean, I think for me, you know, it's me producing a product or building something, creating, constructing something, not from a woodworking hands, work with your hands, because God knows I'm not that guy, but creating something that matters, that's bigger than me, that can go out and touch more than just my sphere of influence. So that's what I'm trying to do with the podcast. That's what I try to do with the book. That's what I try to do with my inspiring or encouraging content, whatever you want to call it, on social media at times when I post. It's creating something, even if it seems small to somebody else. If it's in line and I'm in my swim lane, that perfect current of my gift, and I'm doing it because I feel God has made me to do it to bless somebody else, I'm okay. I can sleep good at night. I can lay my head on the pillow and be all right with that. What about you? Are you struggling to get you some because you think your sum may have to start with a little bit, like a morsel, before you go out and get you that full spread of whatever your sum is? Sometimes we start small. Sometimes we go little to go big. He who is faithful with little is faithful with much, the Bible said. Right? So I guess that wasn't even planned to talk about, but start small and don't talk yourself out of something because you don't think it's right up there with big dreams. Anyway, so I got a couple of different things here, three things to be honest. So let's identify your sum. If we're going to get you some, let's identify what that is. Right? To do that, you got to have a fire in your belly. Like you got to have something that energizes you. You got to figure out what ignites that spirit inside you, what kindles that flame, what fans that flame into your passion, right? So that you can at least start the brainstorming process. Even if we got to go back into the archives of your memory when you were 20 years old and you thought, man, I wish I would have started a roofing business then. I love the concept of getting people a new roof or designing roofs or houses or something that you love to do that you were good at back in the day. And you let that slip away, and then all of a sudden that dream fizzled. What if that's your sum? I don't remember anybody telling me, I don't remember seeing this in stone anywhere, that your sum has an expiration date. Now, unless, you want to be a Green Beret and you're 50 years old, we might want to cash in our chips on that, get you some. We might want to figure out a new sum. So I make that point to say, I guess not everything can be pulled out of the gutter from years ago and turned into something, but ideas can. Things to create can. Well, I'm not really that creative. I don't really have an imagination. I've just been real good and just kind of kept my head down, kept my nose to the grindstone, and that's good enough for me. Is it though? Is it? Because I bet in your darkest, quietest moments, I bet you go down memory lane and have a little smidge of a little bit of regret, right? Probably sprinkled in there with some ah fear that you suffered through basically or just ignored. You had opportunities slip by. You feel like you missed out. One of those things. Uh, I don't. I don't think you're. I don't think we get to give ourselves a hall pass just because we don't feel like I can't create nothing. I ain't got no good ideas. Well, that would say that you limit God, and I don't think we want to do that because we're going to need Him to get traction on this and make this thing grow legs and get some traction. So, uh, figure out what energizes you, what's that fire in your belly, what stirs you up, and then start brainstorming, man. Start writing stuff down. Start thinking about things that get you up out of bed, not what keep you up at night. Like if you had in the perfect world in a crystal ball moment, if you could do whatever you wanted to do, wouldn't you hop out of bed in the morning? You wouldn't lay there at night with your eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling, sweating the alarm clock, dreading that first step out of the rack. Nah, if you love what you're doing, if you got a fire in your belly for something, you're creating something and you're passionate and you're right in the middle of what you're good at and you're using all your good gifts and you're rocking and rolling and you are on fire, guess what? You're hopping out of bed and you're sleeping like a baby. So that's what we got to know is what gets you up, not what keeps you up. That's how we quantify. That's how we name. That's how we get you some. That's how we name it. That's how we put a label on it. And now we're going somewhere. Once we can give it a name, once we can give it identity, grab on a hold of it, now we got something to work with. So then that takes us to the next step. What's the obstacles to your sum? What are the obstacles? What do you have to hurdle? Go around, dig underneath. What do you got to fight to get your sum? Right? The obstacles might or might not surprise you, but it's a lot of those invisible qualities, invisible factors. It is the fear of the unknown, right? If we don't know what's out there, like if we, let's say we have an idea, but we don't know who's going to like who's going to buy it, who's going to respond to it, who's it going to help. There's a lot of unknowns out there. When we start trying to organically like grow something and organically develop, right? There's a lot of unknowns. There's no guarantees. Nothing's promised, right? That's where the fear sets in. Nobody has a guarantee that it's going to work out. But you keep hitting the ball, man. You keep swinging the bat. We do the right things. We do the basic fundamentals. We got the right mechanics on our Operation Get You Some. We're going to hit the ball more times than not. So the fear of the unknown can't keep us hamstrung, can't keep us locked up emotionally. It definitely can't keep us stuck on the couch because we don't know where it's going, what it's going to do. So we're just not going to do it. That's not it. You're going to find yourself right back in the same spot that you're in right now where you regret not taking that chance 20 years ago. So that's fear of the unknown, but there's also fear of failure. You know this. If I'm talking to men right now, not one of you have ever not had to deal with fear of failure. We will fail at some point, and failure is subjective, right? Failure is a state, really. It's a condition. It's not a person or a thing. It's really just a temporary state of affairs would be that failing component, right? It's just a moment that maybe we didn't hit the mark. And I believe we got to chase failure. I definitely believe we got to chase failure. There's a book out there by Ryan Leake, motivational keynote speaker, wrote a book called Chasing Failure. I'm reading one of his devotionals right now, and it's spot on. I mean, this guy is tackling the topic that every man wants to be able to master. And that's, what do I do with myself when I'm fearing failure? And guess what? More of us guys need to go into situations just expecting things to be challenging, expecting it not to be as polished as maybe it ends up being. We go into it with that mindset. A, I think we're looking at more factors and we don't have as much tunnel vision. B, I think we're prepared for when we hit roadblocks and setbacks to persevere through it. It builds resilience when you aren't surprised by failure. So don't be afraid of the F word, man. Fear of failure is absolutely part of this process. Talk to any successful business owner, any entrepreneur, any inventor, any celebrity for that matter. Failure is in their life, probably not just once. It's probably littered with mistakes. It's probably littered with goals they didn't achieve or products that they had an idea for that didn't quite pan out. But now look at them. So the fear of the unknown, the fear of failure, and then the final obstacle to you getting you some is you. You're the thing keeping that from happening. I'm what's keeping that from happening in my life. I'm my biggest enemy. You know why? Because I'm my biggest critic. And I'm actually probably one of my biggest doubters, maybe. And that's attached to the ones we just talked about, failure, unknown. But you want to get you some? You got to change. We disqualify ourselves. We devalue our abilities. That's what keeps us from walking in this dream and these desires that are just motivators, not producers. Because we're just content with having desire that feels motivating, but then it doesn't produce anything. Why? We disqualify ourselves. We talk ourselves out of something. We devalue what our talents are. And another, an oh, by the way, part of this is we think nobody's going to care or no one's going to validate the product, right? We don't know how to brand ourselves, but we're also a little apprehensive that anyone's going to receive or approve of the brand. So that's where we really miss it. That's probably the final straw. Like, even if you overcome the failure, the fear of failure and the unknown, that last part, that last hurdle, you're coming down the straightaway to the finish line and you got you in the way. And that's sometimes where we miss it. And that's where this thing falls apart and unravels. All right. So we went through how to identify your sum, the obstacles to your sum. And guess what? Now we're at destination, get you some. So to get here, we got to embrace the surprise. Understand that you cannot account for every situation. You can create the best business plan that Bill Gates himself wish he would have come up with. And you can't plan for everything. Your standard operating procedure You could have contingencies upon contingency plans. But guess what? You're going to come across something you didn't plan for. So embrace the surprise, right? I'm not saying embrace catastrophe and when things just turn into a dumpster fire and all hell busts loose on your plan and your dream that you just run up and give it a big old bear hug. I'm saying there might be some surprises along the way, but those are potential opportunities. Every business book out there, every, I don't know, motivational speaker will tell you, hey, problems bring opportunities. They might, yeah. Surprises might as well. You didn't expect that. So, hey, how do we turn that into something? So, a surprise gets defined by the choice you make and how you respond to it. That surprise can turn into catastrophe, or that surprise can turn into opportunity. That's your choice. God bless America. You have that freedom to make that choice. So embrace the surprise because they're going to be there. There was, I didn't know how to do any of this podcast stuff. I didn't know anything about publishing a book, self-publishing. And granted, it was probably rough around the edges. It was my first one, and I can guarantee you, I know for a fact there were some editing blunders. There were some maybe some grammatical things in there that weren't as quite as polished. It was quite the rustic project, I would say. But those surprises, you know what? They created opportunities for me to learn from so that the next time I'm a little more diligent. I take my time and I make it a little bit more polished, right? A little bit more refined. That's okay. I'm all right with that. So embrace the surprise. Second, what I would say for destination get you some, I would say test your limits. Don't get in this box that you feel like you got to stay in because you're in this risk taking endeavor. You're on this journey of creating something. You're on this journey of, this is a dream I'm trying to make a reality. And my goodness, I'm scared. I'm afraid of failing, but I'm going to stay right in this box right now, right? Because it's not 100% safe, but I feel okay in it. So over here might be a better like revision of the plan, but I'm right here in this box. I think I'm going to stay the course right here, and we're just going to see how this works out. Test your limits. Get other people involved, man. If you see something that might require you to make adjustments or course corrections to your plan, go get it. Find out more about it at the very least. Get other people's opinion, people you trust and respect, godly people that you know are like minded and have your best interests at heart. Get those people involved in that decision making. Bounce stuff off of people, but test your limits. That right there in itself tests my limits. Getting people involved, right? Because I figure people got better things to do than to help me out. B, you know what? I think I'm gonna try it. And back to that failing, I'm gonna try it. If I mess up, okay, maybe then I'll reach out. Nothing wrong with that. But I would also say, look, if you know somebody else has done something similar, why wouldn't you go get the answers to the test? Why wouldn't you go get somebody's perspective that's walked that path ahead of you? That only makes sense. Like, we're not talking about being business stupid. Like, we're talking about, like, let's use our brains. We can't be afraid to fail, but we also want to make calculated decisions and take calculated risks. So test the limits. My limit is pride, not really rushing out there to grab a bunch of people and get their opinion on something or ask their help. But I got to get over that. I got to get through that. I got to reach out to people, right? Do I want to email another podcast host? Granted, they're platform's larger, audience is larger. They've been around longer. But do I really want to reach out and go, hey, what do you suggest I do to maybe grow this thing? Or take a listen to these episodes. Tell me what you think. Like, you think that's really something I want to do? That doesn't get me all giddy, but it's something that if I know what the end result wants to be, what I want it to be, if it's a part of my desire and dream, and that's part of my Operation Get You Some. Like, if that's for me, that's my sum, then I know along the way I got to stretch some things. I got to test my limits. I got to swallow some pride. All right? That's for me, but I guarantee you that's for somebody listening. Test your limits. Limits might be you got to make sacrifices. We already talked about sitting back and dreaming, about something. The desire is just not enough to make it happen. We talked about that. But it also is going to require it's going to cost you something. It costs me something to be in here right now recording this. Right? It cost me something. I could be on the couch in there watching TV with my wife. But I said, hey, give me 30 minutes. So I came in here to record this. Right? So the limit can also be a sacrifice or a cost that you account for. But you got to be willing to step in it with both feet. It ain't a 50-50. It's not half in, half out. So the last one, plant your flag. Destination, get you some. Right? Get over the obstacles, press through those that we talked about. To get to destination, get you some, you got to plant your flag on this is what it is. This is my dream. I'm convinced God is behind it. I'm convinced He is giving me that and leading me down this road to be successful at it. He's given me the gifts. So this is where I'm planting my flag. This is the mountain, the hill I'm going to die on right here. So you're all in, right? Your chips are all in the middle of the table. Plant your flag, right? Just bringing the flag along and laying it down next to you, that's not the same thing. That gives you an out. Hammer that sucker in. Make it a permanent flag. This is your ground. This is your territory. This is your land, right? This land is your land. This land is not my land. It's your land. It's your dream. Get you some. So that's what I want to say to finish that out is have the conviction to go at it and to plant the flag in that dream. Plant the flag in the process to get you there. Plant the flag in the resources and the investments you got to make and the sacrifices and the cost to you. Plant your flag in all of those areas and you're all in. You've taken ownership of it. So now you're going forward. There's no looking back now. Yes, we can make adjustments, but you don't have to be the guy that looks back when he was 20 and wish he would have done something. Right? Back then, you wish you would have had this Operation Get You Some. Right? Well, now you have it. It's never too late. You're not past the point of no return. I say we rise up and get you some. With that, till next time, be blessed.